Today's video, we are going to talk about keywordless targeting and why people are talking so much about this so-called thing and why it is a complete joke every single time people are talking about it. In short, keywordless targeting is simply when you target a campaign based upon letting Google decide what your ad basically shows up for. Not deciding like in the old days, back when I started, you had to have keywords for everything you wanted to target, literally speaking, for the most part. What Google's telling you nowadays, if you listen to them, which you shouldn't do, and I'm going to talk about that in this video, is to just let Google handle it, let them take over. Their systems are smart enough nowadays to where if you put a few keywords in as seed ideas into your account, they will take over from there. They'll find you the customers you want without having to overthink it, and you'll be rich and retired on a beach somewhere in a few years already. And I'm going to tell you here that is a complete pipe dream, and unless you got tons of money to piss away, you do not want to fall for this. Google's AI is smart, but that's not the whole end of it. Google has their own priorities. Now, a lot of people are too negative about Google, and they say Google's out to get them. I'm not in that camp, and nor is that realistic. But on the other hand, Google's trying to make money for their own corporation first and foremost. So anything they tell you to do has to be put through a filter if somebody's going to be thinking about number one. You have to think for yourself to have an outcome that you want for yourself that's ideal. So I'm going to cover exactly what the details are on this so-called keywordless targeting, why it's not so great. And then I have a case study here where I show you a client who was quote-unquote stupid enough to fall for this. People think Google has their best interests. I don't know why. It's like saying the government has your best interests. They don't. We're not children here. And what our results were before and after when we did this. You can basically stay away from it. And then I, of course, discuss what's the much better alternative than just handing over the keys to your bank balance to Google and letting Google just figure it all out so you don't have to do anything. Because frankly, the golden rule is if it were that easy to just say, hey, here's my wallet, Google, make me money, every one of your competitors would have done it already, and there would be no opportunity for you existing left in your market. And, ultimately, with there being more than one or two or 5 or 10 people wanting to get Google ads working for their business in your market, you have to stand out some way. And just letting Google handle everything for you is not the way to stand out. Google would love you to do nothing but forget that keyword selection matters, as it serves their interest to increase their revenues telling you this. And I'm going to suggest keywordless targeting and tell you that's the greatest thing since sliced bread to now make money, and that you don't need all these keywords nowadays because Google's so smart to sell unwanted inventory. Because Google's gotten to the point now where they cannot really raise what they're charging for a click anymore. They've already raised it so damn much that if they keep raising it, just like the health insurance companies, there's going to be a drop off every year of people willing to advertise because there's no ROI there. You can only raise the cost so much before there's no ROI. You can only charge the market so much for your service or product before they stop buying it, and therefore you can only charge so much for a click. The market will only bear so much. So what Google's doing to open up the revenue generating opportunities in existing or in excess of what they have already is to sell unwanted inventory that nobody cares about, that nobody would want if you offered it to them directly. So they say, hey, just don't worry about keywords anymore, let us handle it. And then once you've done that, you fell for the trap, so to say. Your drink got drugged, you fell for it, now you're going to get taken advantage of, you're going to get bent over. You now start showing up for stuff that has nothing to do with what you sell on Google now. You're trying to show up for people looking for AC installation services, you're showing up for people that are looking about how to fix their AC themselves, or they're looking for whatever, AC installation brands. And Google now sells this inventory nobody wants, and now their revenue goes up, and it's at your expense. Now, you can fix some of this by understanding how to properly tune your campaigns, and that is right to an extent. That's not going to fix all your problems in and itself, and I will explain why. Google's gotten smarter for sure over the years about to what people will say against this is Google's gotten so smart they got this so-called latent semantic indexing algorithm that can basically understand when you give it a few keywords what you want to target and looking at your website what you want to target, and they have done this. But you got to keep in mind the golden rule here is they don't have your interest in mind because they have their own interests. Their interests are, due to corporate law, they are forced to, or their executives will go to prison. They have to think about the company first, not you. Of course, they would like you to make more money if it makes them more money because it's going to help raise all boats. But if they could do something to take advantage of you to get their revenue to go up and you won't notice it, that's a great deal for Google. They're going to do it every time. They've been doing it. This is what the Google antitrust court cases are even about. Go read details on this if you think Google has your best interests in mind. Look up squashing and then how they tricked you into spending more money. This has been going on for more than a few years now even. You have to understand that even though Google could have you show up for exactly what you should show up for, and they've got algorithms to do that. They do. Whether they want to actually do that or not is a completely other thing. In fact, just to give you an example of this, local service markets, what they've done is they've made it to where unless you're targeting everything in exact match now, you're going to start showing up for all your competitor terms. So if somebody's typing in competitor name, guess what? Half of the people don't even read the ad when they get their Google search result there. They're going to click to that ad, call without reading the website, and they're going to assume Joe's Plumbing is whatever they clicked on and who they called because Google's that smart. The reality was John's Plumbing that was trying to advertise for plumbing services as a keyword showed up for Joe's Plumbing, and they got this call from somebody that was confused about, hey, they were trying to reach John's Plumbing, not Joe's, or Joe's Plumbing, not John's Plumbing. And they wasted their money on that, and they wasted their sales staff's time on that for nothing. And if you go to Google and ask a Google rep about, even though I'm not targeting my competitors' names, why am I showing up for all my competitors' names? They'll tell you, oh, that's a great thing. That's a part of our system. That's intentional because obviously if they're looking for your competitors' thing, they're in market for what you do as well. Therefore, you should show up for them as well, which would be a great thing if people actually read ads most of the time before they clicked on them, which they don't because people are lazy. And I will go into all the reasons why. And Google's not stupid. They've ran these tests. They know who's likely to buy and who's not. And somebody typing into your competitor's name isn't going to be buying from you most of the time. But they did this anyway to drain people's budgets because they know the local plumber doesn't know jack shit about PPC and they can take advantage of him and he ain't going to know what's going on and they'll get away with it. This is just one of many examples I can give you on how Google wastes your money on purpose to make their revenues go up. Just know you can't listen to what they say by default, at the very least. You can use great tracking and smart bidding to make your campaigns run well with this so-called keywordless targeting, but it will still take Google forever to find your customers that way. If you were a plumber and you put in 5 keywords in broad match in your campaign, like plumbing services, plumbing companies, plumbing near me, like that. First of all, if you have no tracking and no smart bidding, forget about that working ever. If, though, you did proper tracking, so when a lead turns into a qualified lead in a sale, you gave that information back to Google, and then you told Google, I only want sales, and I only want them at this price, and only this. With that, you at least have a chance to make your campaign be profitable at that point in time. But what you're going to experience is it's going to take forever to get to be profitable, as compared to actually having keywords and doing the old way of regular keyword targeting, not keywordless targeting, because it's going to go through every iteration of everything to figure out what doesn't work to find the stuff that does work. And most of that is by design. They're going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall because they want to sell these placements nobody wants still, and eventually it'll be profitable. Well, why would you want to throw all that money away? And unless you are literally King Midas over here with stacks and stacks of money and so much money and so little time to worry about it, you have no business doing it that way. You really don't. And your Google rep's going to tell you this is the way. And if you hire most PPC agencies, they're going to tell you this is the way. And I can tell you from experience, they're telling you that because they don't want to work. They want to take of course, they don't know how to charge very much for what they're doing. That is actual people that are supposed to be advising you and running your account. So therefore they say, oh, you don't have to pay me very much, but guess what? You have to do it this simplistic way because this is all I can afford to do for what you're paying me, and then nobody wins. You certainly don't win in that situation. It takes time and effort to do it right, but at least when you do it right, yes, you're paying the person a lot of money, but at least you're going to get almost all your money is going to go to something productive versus a bunch of testing random bullshit. You don't make any money at the end of the day because it doesn't matter what you're paying your PPC manager. If he doesn't know how to be efficient, it doesn't matter if you pay him a penny a month. it's worthless. So there's just a certain minimum amount of work that needs to be put in. So there's a lot of people who are going to disagree with me that you may be dealing with, but the fact is, first of all, they don't care if you don't make any money either, just as is Google don't. They just want to make the little monthly commission or whatever, and that's it. Ultimately, they don't guarantee anything to where if you say you don't make money, I'm not going to take a fee like we do at our agency. They're just going to tell you that's impossible. Anybody who tells you that it's a scam, they can't do that either. At the end of the day, they win. They do almost nothing. You pay all this money to Google. They still get their commission. They win. Google wins. You lose. Ultimately, and then on top of this, by the way, with keywordless targeting, in a lot of markets, you will never make money. You can let that Google algorithm run all year long, years and years. It'll never find you a profitable campaign for you, especially in B2B markets, by the way. In B2B markets, if you're not showing up for a list of like 100 terms and that is it, you're never making money. You let Google go keywordless, you are just going to get completely bent over and 99.9% of your money is going to go to waste. You cannot make money in that scenario. So yes, in some more simplistic markets that Google has a good feel of what you're doing is, such as plumbing services, because there's 1,000 plumbers advertising across the world and they have a good idea of what works in that space. If you are that unique software company and you're expecting Google to find you those customers, forget about it. They don't know the first clue how to do it, and they're going to try everything, and most likely they're going to try everything and still never get you to the end result that you want. There's no shortcuts with this. You have to put in the work. And even if, like I said, you are in that plumbing market where they understand it, how are you going to make your campaigns work when in your market there's 20 advertisers and there's 4 spots at the top of Google and you got to fight your way in there, and Google's going to decide to pick who they want to show there based upon who helps their users at the highest level? How are you going to win there if you do everything the way that everybody else is doing it? You have to be in the top 20% of strategy in terms of ad click-through rates, conversion rates on your landing page or website, just to be able to get preferable showing to get in front of the people that actually are buyers, and once Google knows who those are, people coming through, they know what they've searched in the past, what their likelihood of buying is, and then guess what? They give the best people to their best advertisers, the top 20%. So if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're never going to be in that 20%, you're never going to get the best traffic, and you're still not going to make any money. At the end of the day, all of this automation that I see people using is really just to get around. It's like, how can I be lazy and how can I get rich at the same time? Everybody, of course, wants to do this. When everybody knows what Google Ads is, you have to stand out and do something more to make it work. Keywordless targeting. The variations of this are, of course, you got PMAX campaigns. Why run search campaigns when you could run PMAX? You got Search AI Max now, which is a variation of a search campaign that runs with keywordless targeting. You also got just broad match, which has been around, of course, the longest. That's a version of keywordless targeting too, because 5 broad match keywords can cover all your bases when really in an account that I'm going to compete with you against, I'm going to have 500 keywords. And I'm going to target all the variations of all the terms I want to show up for, not have 5 keywords, which have me show up for thousands and thousands that I don't want to show up for. If you are going to use keywordless targeting, there is a place for it actually still, but it shouldn't come until you after you're making a profit already, so you're playing with winnings now, and also you can't scale anymore. You run exact match keywords, you're making money, you cannot scale it anymore, then, and only then, should you play around with this so-called keywordless targeting. Why? Because it's going to give you keyword ideas that you wouldn't maybe necessarily been able to find on your own, even if you scoured SpyFu or SEMrush or Google Keyword Planner. So what I'll do in that scenario is I'll set up a separate campaign with just our broad match keywords in there, a small budget. So if I'm spending $100 a day on my primary campaign, I'll spend $10 a day on my broad match keyword campaign. And that campaign is just set up to purely get keyword ideas, because I know it's not going to make much money, but here and there we'll get a conversion. It won't be at a profit, but that conversion that came in off of that search term that I may not have targeted as a keyword in my main campaigns, I'll start targeting it in my main campaigns. So it's purely a keyword generator, if you will. And because it's not going to make money, you're going to have to set the ROAS target real low on that campaign, or target CPA real high. Otherwise, it'll run for a while, then it'll just stop getting impressions, if you will. Why? Because your primary campaigns are going to be a lot more efficient. It's going to prefer to run them for the most part, especially if you set up SCAG campaigns. And so you literally have to use the keywordless targeting campaign, tell Google you don't give a shit if it makes money at all to find the keywords. But if you have a keywordless campaign, and I set up a really well-structured SCAG campaign to go along and test and run alongside it, my campaign's going to crush your campaign in terms of short-term results as well as long-term results, because I'm going to not have to test so much to find out where profitability is in my market, short-term. Long-term, I'm going to have higher click-through rates and conversion rates than you because my ad's going to have laser-targeted ad copy for every keyword that people search for that matters. And my website is going to have higher conversion rates because I can make a custom page for that term that perfectly caters to that user based upon how they were searching. Therefore, keywordless targeting has no place in your business. Ultimately, there's no real purpose for it other than find some other keywords you just wouldn't have found any other way. Now, I'm going to go into a case study here as well, like I mentioned at the start of this video, so you understand just how bad this stuff is. It's literally like the crack of PPC. You touch it, it may seem fun and everything, and a great idea at the time, but it is going to destroy you. It's going to destroy your campaigns if you're going to touch it and deal with it and think, oh yeah, Google says it's great, so therefore I'm going to do it. Stay away from it. But before I get into the numbers, if you haven't subscribed yet, I have the best channel to subscribe to that's going to teach you how to literally make millions of dollars a year running ads for your business. Given that this is all I do at my firm all day long is just do ad strategy and testing. And I give you the working knowledge about what really works with not only Google ads, but other online ad channels. So if you want to subscribe to the best channel, subscribe to this channel. I've got the great blog on my site, the best blog you're ever going to find on PPC as well. On my site at guaranteeppc.com/blog. You can find the strategies that I use to guarantee results for our clients there with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. I highly encourage you to check that out as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here today or any marketing related question, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours. You can also reach out to me through my Discord group. I got a link to that in the description, as well as through my site at guaranteedppc.com, of which on my website, by the way, I offer coaching and consulting. I offer done-for-you management of PPC ads, PPC campaigns that you're running on Google, Facebook, wherever you're running your ads, of which we provide a guaranteed result before charging. If you don't get a lift in profitability from your ads up front, we don't charge, as well as sell ad templates. If you're in a market that we've been in, we can sell you winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your market. Turnkey in that if we've already got results you're looking for in your market, you literally just copy paste everything we've done in that market into your ad accounts and website and landing pages. You got the result we did already, of which we charge a flat fee for. We've got hundreds of these templates, of which I could tell you the results, the exact results you're going to get with it up front before you ever used it. So let me know if you're interested in that. You can reach out to me at my site for that as well. As far as the case study goes, now this is a women's clothing brand that we had, and this lady run this brand. She wanted us to try AI Search Max because this never fails. Google comes out with something really nice, new, and shiny to try to get you to waste your money. They tie AI to it. People say they heard of AI being good. Why would Google screw me over? Is their thoughts? Let's go for it. And then I got to basically talk the client back off of the edge of the cliff. Don't do this. I've seen this not work for other accounts already. Also, what they're saying it doesn't make logical sense. And I try to explain everything basically I explain on this video, but a lot of times I just can't get through them, so we have to do it. And that's why I get great case studies on this channel, is because we got clients that defy what we get to try stuff that I know basically is stupid or won't work. We had search campaigns set up and we were getting an average of 392% ROAS before we tried Search AI Max. We turned these on our search campaigns. After 1 month of just running the Search AI Max on these search campaigns, our ROAS went from 392 on average to 146. Thankfully, the client had woke up and smelled the coffee after a month of doing this and let us to revert it back. But in that 1 month time, that's how much our ROAS dropped already. And the sales dropped from 114 transactions to 71 transactions on those search campaigns. With that said, you can see right here what kind of damage you could do to your campaigns, falling for Google's nonsense and just going with whatever they say. Ultimately, what happens, and the reason why we got this result like this is because Google, once you turn this on, what they're going to start doing is start again, like I was saying at the very start of this video, they're going to start running your ads in places that nobody wants. Because that's their main prerogative here when they even do this in the first place. That's the whole point of PMax, was to get you to run ads in places nobody wanted to run ads. Whereas if they would have came to you directly and say, hey, do you want to run an ad on weather.com? You'd have said no. If they could tell you PMax is AI driven, you'll do it and they'll get you to advertise there anyway. This Search AI Max crap is the same way, except it's on Google Search at least, but it's the same kind of thing. You're showing up for stuff you wouldn't normally would buy, but they mix it in with what other things, put a fancy bow on it, and you're going to bite on it like a fish bites on a lure. Google eventually, yes, would have weeded out all of the bad traffic, but Certainly that would have been a few more months down the road after we wasted a bunch of money. And then in the end, not get any more conversions because the AI system is not that efficient at finding keywords that we couldn't have found on our own, because even with our search campaigns, we could look at our search terms report, and because exact match isn't even exact anymore, we could find keyword data, and we pretty much over time found all the good keywords to target already. So where people use this keywordless targeting the most is when they don't have campaigns already. Just know when you do that, you're going to be paying dearly in terms of waste and inefficiency up front before you ever find what works. Why would you want to do that at all? When even if you say you don't have any time and you got more money than time, you could still pay somebody to set it up right. Don't use keywordless targeting and save money that you wouldn't have to piss away not paying somebody to set it up right, and then just letting the algorithm run wild with your money until they eventually find out what they're doing doesn't work, which they know it's not going to, but then they already got you to buy all these placements you didn't want already. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.